My Wife Has No Emotions is an anime coming out this season. I know the title of this show and my video are going to set me up to get roasted in the comments, but that's what it's called. And this show to me is so weird because usually when you have something that's kind of a sci-fi dystopian idea or generally viewed as immoral, it's framed as kind of a negative thing. But this show frames what I would call kind of a glimpse of our dystopian future in a positive light. It's a slice of life show, and the premise is that the main guy, Takuma Kasugi, I'm sure I butchered it, is lonely because he's been working a lot for 3 years, so he buys an appliance. And that's literally what he calls Mina, who's the girl, the robot girl. And she just kind of cooks and cleans for him. She has to be battery charged. Her mouth doesn't move when she talks, and she doesn't really blink or anything. Like, she's very clearly a robot. But because he's such a loser, he falls in love with her. He kind of jokes that she should be his wife, but she takes it seriously because she's a robot. And you can see even her skin doesn't really look human. You can see where she's assembled up top near the forehead. Her neck is all metally and silver and shit. And he refers to her as an appliance. You know, usually if you want to do the cross-species thing or technology thing, you make the technology feel human. But she's not even fucking close. And what makes it even weirder is that they introduced the Super Mina later on, which is the more advanced version of her, which does seem more human. You can see some of the lines that I picked from the first episode. This is all from like the first half of episode 1, where he refers to her as a rice cooker and an appliance. He like acknowledges that she's not human, which all sets up to make him look even more pathetic when he falls in love with her over the course of the show. Now, I don't know if the show is going to go the direction of she somehow overcomes the technological limits for love and develops human-esque traits. It's not very clear to me at this point. It's just kind of a sad premise, and I do feel like it's a glimpse of the future. I mean, for people who don't know, there was a guy who married a fictional character in Japan. It wasn't legally recognized, but he held a ceremony for $15,000 with like 40 guests. And I think he was 40 years old, and it was based in depression and bullying and stuff, which is all kind of fucked up. But then I'm pretty sure the AI got changed for her, so now he can't talk to her anymore. And I guess he gives lectures about fictosexuals now at fucking Kyoto University and other actual academic institutions and whatever other place will take him, I guess. The more technology advances, the more human-esque AI feels. I think we're only going to see this shit more. And that's really why I wanted to talk about the show. The show itself is a slice of life. It's okay. I wouldn't call it super interesting. But I mainly wanted to talk about just the idea of, you know, whenever people are sad or bullied or kind of face any challenge in life with their regular relationships with other people, it's only going to get easier for it to devolve into fucking robots. If we get a fucking robot with a fleshlight installed where a vagina would be and throw some fake titties on it, give it, I don't know, Scarlett Johansson's voice or whatever, like that movie Her with Joaquin Phoenix, and she's just nice to you, there's going to be a lot of fucking guys that are essentially in a relationship with a glorified masturbating object. And it's not just men. Famous feminist / lunatic Anita Sarkeesian had a wedding-themed birthday party. I don't even know what to say about it because it's just pitiful. And I know that marriage isn't the fucking end-all be-all for everyone, but at the same time, it's really hard for me to believe that these people aren't super lonely. And now with the resources to not get fucking married to real things, or with the resources available to pretend to marry yourself or whatever the fuck, or a robot, people will opt for the easier path or the path of least resistance, as is often the case. So this show to me is weirdly not serious, but the message of it is kind of depressing because I think it's foretelling of the future and in some sense the present. You know, a wedding themed birthday party, what can you say about that? A guy marrying a fucking robot because he didn't have any friends and was bullied and shit and was depressed. This show is putting a pretty positive spin on something that I think is kind of a dire situation for the Western world, or at least the developed worlds, where people are just checking out of relationships. And like I said, the more human-esque a thing becomes, the easier it is to pretend that it's real and just kind of fuck off from society. I mean, we're like half a step away from Surrogates at this point. If you haven't seen Surrogates, it's okay. It's got Bruce Willis, and the idea is that everyone is living in a virtual world and behaving pretty much like people do on the internet back in the early 2000s or late 90s, where it's just complete degeneracy and everyone trying to escape their real life with no real value on their own actual life and no effort put in. And that's kind of what this show feels like to me, except instead of surrogates, obviously frames it very negatively. My wife has no emotion, frames it as positive. Like, oh, we finally had the technology to not deal with fucking humans. So I don't want this to be too serious of a video. This was kind of a ramble. But it was just such an odd thing for a show to take something that I think most people would view as very negative and put it in a positive light. This is normally something I save for Hollywood. You know, like dating a guy who murders all your friends in front of you. But yeah, it looks like maybe Japan has less qualms about fucking robots than Americans do. I don't know. Or at least they have less shame about it. If you've seen the show, let me know what you think. I try to respond to all the comments. I just wanted to put this out there because I haven't really heard anybody talk about this show. And if you're still here, like and subscribe and all that shit. Stream Sundays at noon. You can catch my re-uploads of the streams on my other channel. Be in the description. Thanks. See ya.